Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books, and I've been covering Disney and Star Wars very closely these last several months. Kathleen Kennedy spins new narrative for Star Wars. Quality is always everything. No idea what that really means? We're going to get into this article and try to figure it out, coming from Bounding Into Comics. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications and give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy recently put out a new spin for Star Wars while trying to hype up new films and television programs. Speaking with IGN's Alex Stebbin during Star Wars Celebration 2023, Kathleen Kennedy was asked, quote, I just want to see if there's any major hope that you want to strive for this kind of new era of Star Wars that you just announced today. Kathleen Kennedy replied, it's as I said, I think quality is always everything. We want to tell resonating stories that really speak to what Star Wars is. Her stories do not resonate. Tell me if you think they do in the comments below, or if you think they don't. As far as speaking to what Star Wars is, I would love to know, what does she think Star Wars is? Quote, I don't really want it, and none of us want it to become like everything else, she concluded. We want it to be something that continues to live up to the expectation that fans have, and that's the most important thing to all of us. It's unclear what Kennedy actually means by quality, given her entire tenure as president of Lucasfilm has produced objectively poor quality films and television shows. The biggest black eye is obviously the Rian Johnson-directed The Last Jedi. The film has a poor 6.9 weighted average on IMDb. It has an even more abysmal 42% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, with moviegoers rating the film an average of 2.6 out of 5. Star Wars isn't just getting negative reactions towards its feature film, but its flagship TV series, The Mandalorian, is now receiving the worst user scores it's ever received. Most recent episode, Guns for Hire, which featured Lizzo and Jack Black, has a 6.5 weighted average on IMDb. In fact, the most recent season hasn't just posted the worst score of the entire series, but the 3 worst rated episodes of the show's entire run. And this is by design, despite Kathleen Kennedy's claim she's focusing on quality. But again, we don't know what she means by quality. She seems to be the kind of person that's like, well, quality means sticking to my guns as to what I think is good. She's clearly not looking at what the fans think are quality films and TV shows, or what other objective movie makers would come over and say, hey, that was an amazing story that you just did. That most recent episode with Lizzo and Jack Black was a really well told story. Congratulations, Kathleen Kennedy. Ahead of the release of The Force Awakens, Kennedy made an appearance at Fortune magazine's Most Powerful Women Summit in 2015, where she laid out her plans to fundamentally change Star Wars. During her appearance, Kennedy revealed how she quickly changed the demographics of the company once she took over. Kennedy said, the fact that the company was bought by the Walt Disney Company has been amazing because they very much support the fact that we're trying to grow in the workforce a number of women in executive positions and in all positions inside the company. So that was quality out the door immediately. Not giving people jobs based on their ability, but giving people jobs based on their gender. And with the movies we were making, and with the protagonists that we're putting in the stories, so I get a huge amount of support with that. She then touted, but we have 50% of our executive team are women, and 6 out of 8 of the people in my story group are women. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that would be surprised that we're making Star Wars movies and the majority of the people involved in the development of those stories are women. And I think it's making a huge difference in the stories that we're trying to tell. Well, if you think it made a huge difference in the stories that they were trying to tell and eventually did tell, let me know what you think in the comments below. It does seem that just hiring people based on their gender and attaching them to a historic, incredible, iconic franchise is probably not a good idea. On top of admitting to fundamentally changing the people who worked at the company, Kennedy also detailed the company had changed how they would market the franchise as well, switching from primarily a boys and men franchise to women and girls, which, by the way, is impossible to do. If Kathleen Kennedy were a genius, she still wouldn't have been able to do this and then do it successfully. On some level, Bob Iger had to know you can't do this and expect to have good results. I don't know why they went ahead and did it anyway. She detailed, I think the interesting path we've had is the conversation that took place around consumer product, because there were a lot of companies that were in place who frankly didn't initially feel that Star Wars was for girls. Everyone knows Star Wars is for whoever buys the merchandise. If Star Wars merchandise for girls sold well, they would make it. And we all know what happened to the Rose Tico toys. They didn't sell. The Star Wars merchandise is not selling. The Marvel merchandise is not selling. It's a disaster. Kennedy went on. And when you have a company situation where between Lucasfilm and Disney, we were looking at this situation saying, no, with Star Wars, we have to change this. We have to make sure that we create products that are in a sense appealing to both boys and girls. What's wrong with that? Well, for the same reason that Disney princess merchandise is not something that boys are interested in buying, that would be the same thing. It's really not that difficult to understand, but it's difficult to even begin to imagine how anyone would think that they can come in creatively and somehow make this massive shift and all of a sudden create interest. You could have tried Disney princes, seen how that would go on. You could have done a Star Wars princess and done a specific property with that, an animated property, Star Wars princess. Probably would have done amazing for Disney. As long as people understood what it was, it may not do anywhere near as well as a traditionally expected Star Wars film, but it probably would have made money. They could have developed something like that if that's what they were trying to do. But that's not what they were doing. It was about hijack, hijack, hijack. This is what they think that men do in business. They hijack things. They hog up all of this and they hog up all of that. No, they just go out proactively and they try to develop something. And if they can acquire something, they acquire it. But I have to say, I don't think that there's any man on earth that would have taken over Lucasfilm who would have said, let's change up what the franchise is all about and try to make it appeal to women. There's just no logic to it. Emotionally, maybe someone would want to do it, but logically, it makes no sense. Despite her claim of wanting Star Wars to appeal to both boys and girls, when asked for examples, it was specifically focused on creating products for females. Kennedy said, I mean, even with simple things like t-shirts. There's a fantastic story with this young woman who came to Lucasfilm in 2009. She plays the character Ahsoka in both Rebels, and she also had a role in Clone Wars. And she came to Lucasfilm in 2009 saying, why are there clothes that are tied to Star Wars for girls? And she struggled for quite a while and put a company together called Her Universe, and it's doing unbelievable business. This is Her Universe. It's a website. It's for women, and it's licensed merchandise. They have licenses with Star Wars and Marvel and Disney and Harry Potter and a couple of others, and they sell merchandise. Hopefully they make a lot of money. But she was interested in girls' clothing and girls-based products already in Star Wars. She made the point that you do not need, this was in 2009, you do not need to skew to a female audience for the story somehow to create interest in a clothing line based on what was a traditionally boys' property. It just made no sense. It's highly unlikely Lucasfilm and Star Wars will start churning out higher quality products when Kathleen Kennedy admitted she gutted the company's employees and decided to reshape it in her image. Not only did she reshape the company in her image, but she set about drastically altering the franchise and who it would appeal to. Given Kennedy is still in charge, it's unlikely her initial vision will ever be changed, and even if she's removed, if she's replaced by one of her disciples, it would be more of the same or even worse. The most interesting part of Kennedy's new claim is indeed the fact that she's saying that the company needs to focus on quality. A company that is actually producing high quality products would never come out and say they need to focus on quality. Their product speaks for itself, and they're bragging about how good the quality is. Instead, Kennedy is out here implying that the quality of their products is quite poor, and she'd be right about that. This is a tacit admission, or maybe a subconscious admission, that under her leadership, she knows the company has produced extremely poor quality films and TV shows. But you can be sure that she's busily trying to figure out, how can I redefine the word quality so that I can say we've always been focusing on quality at Disney? You have to assume it would be a definition of, hey, I'm a tough lady and I'm sticking to my guns. And when I stick to my guns, that means we're producing TV shows and films of a certain quality. Bob Iger, you need to leave the company. You need to bring Kathleen Kennedy along with you. And someone has to come in and reinvent the Star Wars franchise, the Marvel franchise, or just close the things down and make sequels to Frozen. Why not? Disney has plenty of its own franchises. It also has all the franchises from Fox. Make a new Ice Age. Leave these franchises alone. Let me know what you think of this in the comments below. Do you think Kathleen Kennedy has her own private definition of what quality means? Do you think she'll ever make anything good with Star Wars, even accidentally? Does she have a chance? Will she eventually be fired? She seems to be like a vampire immortal. Nothing will stop Kathleen Kennedy. She seems like she will go on for all time. But maybe that's not the case. Rumors say she might be out after Indiana Jones comes out. We'll have to see what happens. They spent $300 million on Indiana Jones. That movie has to be in trouble. It's not going to be another Super Mario Brothers. I can tell you that much. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Always love to see your comments. Really appreciate you guys. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.